I think Saber Interactive should just get banned from making any future games because they have ruined Killing Floor 2, they have ruined their previous game World War Z, and now they have ruined Space Marine 2 as well. Because nothing works in this game. There is no ammo economy, there is no health economy. The game doesn't work as a cooperative game at all. Every action just works against your teammate. It's very antisocial. The multiplayer matchmaking is one of the worst matchmaking I've ever seen in gaming. The previous game World War Z had better matchmaking. So at the end of the day, when you get good at the game, you never really play the game with anybody else because first, there is no challenge in playing with 3 people on the hardest difficulty, and secondly, the game doesn't work cooperatively. So why would you ever play the game with anybody else? After parrying and parrying, you get enemies into execute and then you keep spamming executes. That's how the game is revolved. You can completely design the game without ever needing invulnerability on executions. Space Marine 1 did it. You can completely design a horde game without ever needing that. Or you can have invulnerability but also have some kind of downside to the execution. So you have to think about planning your execution and not just spam it. Right now, you can spam executions almost 99% of the cases and escape from the gameplay. That's what every single person does in the game. And that's how people feel power fantasy. Like, why not just install cheat engine? Why would anyone in their right mind take this perk? You are already meleeing and you are more vulnerable to the ranged enemies, not the melee enemies. So why I don't understand this? Like, a lot of the perks in this game are just outright useless. Like, if you go to assault, grabbed or knockback, charge attacks, do not lose control, knockback, after ground power do not get knockback. Like, why is the entire and all of these perks are so dependent on knockback when your ability is to have 50% more dodge window? I don't understand why you would waste all these perks. And the entire skill tree is all about increasing damage, getting armor, increasing damage, increase damage, flat out increase damage. Like, there is no active gameplay involved when you are just having perks which just increase the damage. Yeah, sure, increase damage, like anyone can increase their damage, but you need something to be needing some sort of skill. The only perk in the entire tree here which have some sort of skill is this perk. The jump pack dash deals 25% more damage if you dodge while using jump pack. That is what takes a bit of more skill. But other than that, all of these perks are just pretty flat out damage increases or buffs, like, which doesn't take any gameplay. Like, it's just pointless. And all these signature strikes, I don't know, like they all need rework. So again, like, this entire tree and all the things they have designed in this game completely needs a rework. And balancing, Saber Interactive and balance are two opposite things. They never exist together. In none of their games there is any balance, because they said themselves, like, the game is based on power fantasy and their definition of power fantasy is to storm every enemy to oblivion as soon as they see. Like, that is what they mean by power fantasy. And if you want power fantasy, if you want the easiest way to gain power fantasy, you just download cheat engine, which, by the way, you can easily bypass the anti-cheat for whatever reason. So what's the point in having anti-cheat anyway? But regardless, if you want power fantasy, the easiest thing is for everyone to download cheat engine and give infinite thunder hammer slams or something like that, because who needs grenade launcher? Power fantasy is much better when you have infinite thunder slams, like, just slam every enemy you see on the screen. That is the best power fantasy you can have. Power fantasy, by your definition, is exactly the opposite thing to balancing. You can't have both. Now, if you want both to exist, you need to change your definition of power fantasy. Power fantasy is not something that exists when you just storm every single enemy on screen. You have to have some fair fight. Enemies should be designed fairly and the player should have a fair chance to fight the enemies. Right now, both enemies and the players have power fantasy. They either nuke you or you nuke them. That's all there is to this game. And their entire design philosophy is player control by designing the classes such that they just invalidates the game mechanics. Like, for example, if you have problem with zoanthropes, play the sniper class. It will delete them in 2 shots. If you have problem with chaos enemies and terminators, just play the heavy. If you have problem with your health, play the bulwark for infinite healing. If you have problem with ammo and damage, play tactical for infinite ammo. If you have problem with raveners, lictors or melee in general, play fencing weapons, because fencing weapons have so much parry window that you can literally spam parry and almost always land parry. You can never miss with fencing weapons. So the entire philosophy is just invalidating game mechanics. So if someone has a problem meleeing, or if someone has a problem in zoanthropes, instead of getting better at the game to deal with the game mechanic, they have a different class to switch to, so you don't have to face that enemy. So if I have a sniper in my class, in my game, zoanthropes don't exist in the game. So like, what is the point of having a game mechanic and an enemy if certain classes or perks or weapons are just going to cancel the game mechanic? That is not how you design the game. Map design completely invalidates the spawn director, because you can just run away and the enemies cannot catch up to you. You can just run to the next checkpoint, close the doors, and whatever that has been spawned just get despawned. So the map design, the level design literally invalidates the AI spawn director. They never play the game, they never even playtest the game before releasing anything, because you can literally see from all the bugs and the content they have been putting that they didn't play the game, and that this is why we have been having so many issues with the game. The biggest issue is that you can never consistently use your melee attacks and melee combos in the game on the hardest difficulty, because if you start doing that, you will keep losing your health and you will never recover that health via contested health mechanic. And parry does everything in the game. Parry gives you damage, it will stagger all the enemies around you, it will give you instantly your contested health back when you get your gun strike, and it will give you armor as well. So parry is doing all the work. You never ever have to melee in the game, you never want to, there is no incentive to melee in this game at all. And it nothing works, like it doesn't work at all. And parry, it's a parry marine too, like parry shouldn't be your main focus of the game, but they design their entire game and the core gameplay loop based on parry. You can literally parry the entire hive fleet if you want to. Only the zoanthropes will be an issue, but other than that, like, you can literally parry everything you want. There is absolutely no reason to do anything else in the game. You can literally, and the parry, I wouldn't mind if it had some kind of timing, but right now if you equip fencing weapons, there is no timing. There is absolutely no timing. You can literally turn off your monitor, close your eyes and spam parry button and parry the entire hive fleet on the hardest difficulty. That's how busted the thing is. And people don't realize, because people are so bad at the game that they don't even realize what is busted and what is not. So I don't know how this can get past playtesting. I don't know how blocked weapon can get past playtesting. I don't know how so many bugs can get past playtesting. Because all this game is about 5 million players to unleash your power fantasy, because you have nothing else to do in your life. You are totally so insecure in your life that you have to play this game to feel some sort of power fantasy. The chaos maps and enemies do not actually work properly. All you do in chaos maps is you either nuke the enemies or you get nuked by them. That's all there is to chaos and fighting chaos enemies. That is why nobody likes to play chaos missions at all. And that's going to be covered in a separate video if I get time to do that. Other problems are like build variety, weapon variety is extremely low. Like compared to Darktide, you have so much variety in Darktide and you can have so many different builds and you can use different weapons, but in this game you are so limited to weapons choice and builds that you can pick. So you are either limited to 1 or 2 builds, that's about it. And for example, this Stainsford, why would you ever pick anything else other than fencing? Because if you use balance, you have extremely low attack speed and block is block. So you are literally stuck with the fencing weapon right here, which is already broken because there is no parry window at all. I mean, parry window is infinite, so you can just keep parrying forever with your eyes closed. This is the thing, like you either pick something busted or something which doesn't work at all. Now you might say that I'm extremely critical about this game, I don't think so, because if I am the game director or if I am the person in charge of designing the core gameplay loop of this game, then I would design it so perfectly that there wouldn't be any single doubt or any single problem at the time of the release. This game right now feels like it's in beta. Nothing works and the gameplay loop is non-existent. All you do is parrying, parrying, parrying. Like, that's all there is to the game. Even there is no incentive to dodge. Like, you rather take the hit and then parry. Like, that's how overpowered the parry is. Like, why would you ever dodge in the game? And at the time of release, if I were to design this game, there wouldn't be a single issue with this game. That's how perfectly I want to design a game. And ultimately, I want this game to be good. Like, I want Warhammer games to be good. I want World War Z to be good. But if Saber Interactive and these incompetent people are making this game, then it's never going to be the thing. Like, 5 million players and revenue of this game means nothing if the gameplay loop is not there at all. The success they have gotten is not from making the game. It's all about Warhammer. People want to play Warhammer games. People want to play newest games. That is where the 5 million people are coming. It doesn't matter. Like, Saber Interactive hasn't played any big role here. Like, they don't deserve a lot of credit here. Like, all the credit goes to Games Workshop and Warhammer 40k. Saber Interactive, they have just assembled the character models, some music, and slapped some perks and whatever without any testing. They have just assembled different parts of the game, but they haven't tested if all those parts work together in a cooperative way, if the matchmaking works, if there is any balance. Nothing is there, nothing exists. They have just assembled the game without actually testing if everything works correctly, and that is where they fail to have any credit for this game. I don't think the gameplay loop will ever get fixed with regards to this game, because they don't realize the problems of this game, and it's never going to get realized at all. So if at all in the future we get any game, we'll be lucky. Otherwise, we are stuck with Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2 and Saber Interactive, and stuck with the game of the century, game of the year, and laughing at it on how ridiculously badly designed the game is.